Lee Strobel, author, an amazing just man of God, once said the following: only in a world where faith is difficult can faith exist. Let's go. Hola, ¿qué tal, mi gente? This is Noan el Boricua, and I'm excited to bring you another episode around cultura, faith, y conexiones. And as we know, it is Fuel Pasión Friday, and I'm gonna preface the video right now because I've never recorded in 4K, and I realized that my camera, don't judge, but that my camera does 4K. It just does a more cropped in, but I realized, and I guess, I probably studied this after recording this, the autofocus for some reason for a Canon M50 could be unstable. Anyways, that's just like gear tech talk, but, I just want to try it out, right? So, hey, why not? Fail forward. So, I'm really excited because of the fact that I opened up this episode and I kind of want to set it up. Full disclosure, this is not a paid promotional, no one's sponsored, but we had the opportunity, my family, this past Tuesday, to be able to go and see a Fathom event that was only for 3 dates. It was the 4th through the 6th. We had the opportunity to be able to see the documentary on Lee Strobel, directed by Manny Sandoval from Sandoval Studios, and it's titled The Case for Heaven. And I think for me, before I kind of give my take on it, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, I'm just going to give you one little tidbit of what I enjoyed. Maybe two. I'm going to give you two. But it's a really good documentary, but I kind of want to open it up with this. The title of his book that he wrote that came out in 2021 was because Lee Strobel, author, renowned journalist, before becoming a faith-based writer or author, he actually had a near-death experience back in 2011, if I'm correct. And it led to him to really having to change his health, his approach, but more importantly, the curiosity of understanding the case of heaven. I want to open up of just kind of like how this kind of shows up for people where they think or they think about like, is there a God and is there heaven? I go back to a few years ago when we were actually at my job. We were actually getting ready to recruit for a pilot door that was here in Melrose, California, locally here to LA. And we had the opportunity to, I just remember we had 3 days of group interviews. Shout out to that leadership team. And I remember there stood out one particular candidate. This candidate was sitting there, and I remember we were playing this video where it's a video about the community and how it's involved for us and how we love to give back as community ambassadors. And we just kept watching this one particular candidate with the biggest smile on his face, and he looked so enamored with what was being presented. At that moment, I got a tap on my shoulder, and I was asked to step out. When I step out into kind of like the hallway or the corridor of the office, they had asked me if I knew who this lady was at the lobby. So I go and I look, and I realize that it's, eventually it was his mom, had a bunch of, duffel bags, and just basically they were homeless. And we go back inside, and I'm listening to the conversation of all the candidates, and I was very in tune to wanting to listen to this particular candidate. And the candidate was so optimistic. The candidate didn't have the most experience, but there was something that they had asked me like, yo, Noan, you need to talk to him. So we go outside, I ask him to sit down on the sofa, and I wish I remembered his name. And he had the biggest smile, and I remember me asking him, hey, is that your mom or sister? Oh, that's my mom. Okay. He goes, we're homeless, and I know that they were looking at us when we came in, but, we had to take a couple buses to get here. And I just want to say thank you. And I was kind of thrown off, I was like, I'm sorry. And he's like, I just want to say thank you. I was really nervous, but look around. He's like, look, I've always wanted to work for this company. I've always wanted to have a chance to just share my story. And as I look around, and I remember he saw this Bo Jackson image, he was like, I know who that guy is. he's a really famous double sport athlete. And I'm like, yeah, the whole campaign, Bo knows. Yeah, my mom loved that commercial. He goes, this is like heaven to me. I'm like, what do you mean by that? He goes, I would have never thought, but now I know how it feels like. Now I know what the opportunity feels like. So I don't know what you want to ask me. So we continued the conversation, and I just told him, does he have a phone number and all these things. A lot of challenges that he had. But I remember that my team was like, yo, give him your number just in case. So I gave him my number. I shared that because that stuck with me. Like, how is it that someone who has a very big challenge day to day believes that walking into a company space is like a piece of heaven? See, that came to mind when we had the opportunity to see this film of The Case for Heaven. It's a movie that really speaks, one, about death, two, about near-death experiences, but it also talks about like what it feels like this whole concept of like immortality that we try to seek out as human beings, which is true, and I'm not gonna give away, but I thought that this film was uniquely done. The storytelling of going to so many different cities and couple areas outside of the country, the United States, it was so ideal. I mean, the mixture of like scientific evidence and theological evidence, but more importantly, this like unbeknownst layer of what we call espíritu, la alma, the soul, the spirit. That was something that really, it just gets me. There's a particular scene for me, the highlight was this testimony of a near-death experience of Howard Storm and his journey of like how he was sharing what he felt and this torment. But then all of a sudden this presence that he says with Jesus, it completely changed his life. He completely changed everything. And I think for me, what it was like he remembered all the little moments of people telling him, hey, I just want to let you know Jesus loves you. And it's something that for him, he said that it was so magnified in a moment that he never thought he would fall in love with him. See, here at Feel Pasión, I love to always talk about, tech and sneakers and, things that are going on in the culture. But I also know for a fact that one of the things that I believe in is understanding my faith. And my hope is that as we get ready to celebrate Easter, and for those say Resurrection Sunday and Good Friday, and for those that celebrate all those moments, and maybe you don't celebrate that, I invite you to kind of check out those opportunities of just being present in the presence of what it is to be ecclesia, church. There was this one particular scientist that really stood out to me, and I have to get the word. I have to look it up because it starts with the letter Q. Give me 1 second. Okay, so they're in England or London or Cambridge. I don't know exactly where they were, but they were in Europe. She asked one of these things that if you want to understand the smell of coffee, you need to smell it, end quote. She goes on with this conversation with Manny, who's the director. Shout out to my boy Manny and all the Sandoval brothers. And she basically says that life is full of qualia. Or in other words, that word qualia, I'll put the definition here, or maybe I'll just throw up a screen. It's basically like things that cannot be described in physical terms, but it's something that you have to like taste or smell. That to me in that part of the movie, and I actually wrote down exactly the thought of what she said, and I'm not going to share with you guys because I really hope you guys get opportunity. Now, we'll throw information up later that you guys can be able to check out the documentary if you like. But I think a lot of times, do we ask ourselves that? Like, the job that you want to get, how does that smell like? How does that feel like? How do you envision that? See, there's some things that physically you just can't describe. It's the feeling, it's the emotion, it's those senses that we feel. For those of us that are Marvel fans, it's those Spidey sense. But, that's just for us, comic fans out there. Needless to say, I thought that moment to me was something that was really particular. And I also like, and this is my final point here, is I love the part of the music. And I'm gonna read this here. Literally, I got my laptop, all right? Just because I don't want to get this wrong. But I love where they give the example of music, where this is the example of qualia, and basically Lee Strobel and Manny, they go to a music studio, and there's a guy that's playing the cello, and then we have a drummer, shout out to my boy Dan, on that Rogers kit. And there he basically watches this producer kind of discuss like the complexity of a track, and basically Strobel says, quote, "We know that we are more than our brain, that we have a spirit, that we have a soul, and that we have a consciousness," end quote. As we've been constantly navigating these past few years with so many things in the world, just a lot. There's been a lot. I hope you remember that your soul is still alive and well. I hope that you understand that your consciousness is activated when we have qualia in our life. When we understand there's, where we can close our eyes and go to the ocean and to be able to listen to the ocean sounds, or maybe go into the forest, or maybe to a mountainside and listen to creation around us. It's something that we just cannot describe. Look, even some of us greatest storytellers, real talk, some of us who are these great storytellers, you know what I'm talking about. You can describe it, but how many times we get to the point like, look, let me have you taste it. It's like our abuelita or tia, they describe to you how good their, birria or al pastor or carne asada for all my people de Puerto Rico, este pernil, arroz con gandules. Like we describe it to you, but then we're like, no, hold on, here, taste it. Enjoy this qualia of life. Let your soul be enamored with what I'm presenting to you. And that was Lee Strobel's presentation in his documentary, is to be able to have this journey. And as he says, to continue to go and seek the truth. So that's what I have for you guys. My hope is that you can immerse yourself in seeking truth. Immerse yourself in enjoying the sights and sounds and the taste of this world that God has created. I hope that you could be a motivation to someone in the workplace, or someone in your community, or maybe for all those kids that are playing Little League, and maybe you're a coach, or for those girls playing softball, maybe you're out there, right? Because shout out, the Dodgers opening season. There's so many things out there that a lot of times we allow the busyness. And look, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm hoping you're watching this on Instagram. I'm hoping you're watching this maybe on YouTube. But I also hope that you can set it down, the phone, the laptop, the tablet, and go out and enjoy what this creation is and made by God. Enjoy life. Look, I hope you take time this week or this weekend and just take an hour out the day. Go for a walk in the neighborhood. Go for a walk maybe in the park, at the beach. Connect with someone that you haven't had in a while. And enjoy some of that qualia time as you have some cafecito that you can be able to enjoy with a loved one, with a friend, or a peer. That's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys can check us out, pasión.com. Once again, I want to say thank you to just the Sandoval Studios, Sandoval Agency, Lee Strobel. Thank you guys so much for an amazing documentary. If you guys haven't had a chance, pick up the book. I'm really excited. I'll be checking out that book. It just got me so, caught up in those moments. But more importantly, I do got 2 other books, which I'm actually going to show it to you guys, because that's something that a lot of people tend to ask me. So, un momento. All right. So, we are going to be wow. So, Greg Hoffman, I'm gonna give a shout out to my friend Lauren Gallo. She she's the one who kind of like posted it, and then I saw some other people, peers of mine at work, and this is a really exciting just this whole concept of creativity and storytelling, and I've yet to open it, but I know that I've just heard really good things. And this is again Greg Hoffman, shout out to you and just your journey at the brand. And then Dr. Eric Mason, Urban Apologetics. This is another great book that I'm really, really excited. Again, I'm a theology nerd. I love to constantly grow. And this is really understanding. Remember when we talk about being allies? I'm not just going to go and ask, but I need to do my own homework. And this is basically a book around restoring Black dignity with the gospel. So this is more of kind of a theological approach for those that love to have theology studies and of religion. So I'm really excited to read this book. Congrats. I know this was 1 year ago that it was released, and Emotion by Design recently just dropped. Go to your favorite, Amazon, wherever you get your books, or if there's a local, small business, support a small business locally if they have these books. And that's all I got for you guys. Como siempre, immerse yourself dentro de la cultura. Let's grow in our faith. Y como siempre, make those conexiones. Como dice mi abuelita, que Dios te bendiga.